Right, this is going to be another episode of Hot Take Point Made. And as many people have indeed requested, well, first of all, technically, there was one request via a fan-generated hot take, which was that we should fire Mauisnake and hire Tech Girl. And actually, we did do an episode of Feed the Trolls with Kassad, so that is essentially the same concept. Except in theory, Feed the Trolls isn't Hot Take Point Made. But don't worry, Maui, if you watch that episode back, I do sort of sneak a hot take in there that makes Kassad think I'm insane. So I sort of played the role of Mauisnake on that particular episode. It was about how, are you ready? I essentially imply that actually getting Nico and Modesty to your team is good GMing, believe it or not. I would actually consider that very good GMing in many ways. But anyway, watch the episode if you want to find out why that's apparently wrong, and that's why you have to win 17 majors in a row before any of them count or something. Whatever. Watch that episode. So another thing though that people have requested many times, funny enough, from this show and in the future, what I'm about to show you might actually allow you to get to where you all want to be. You all want to be wearing a T-shirt that says "Are you insane?" with Kassad on it, don't you? Well, we haven't got that yet because let's be real, we haven't got any merch. So now we have done some merch though. So good news. If you go to lastfreenation, all one word, .shop, that is actually a domain, then they have a bunch of merch that has launched. You can see most of it on the screen here. On the left, they have like what's called a founder's tee, which on the arm will have like a number on it. There'll only be a limited. It's one of those like limited drops like Yeezys back in the day. So I think that's on sale till like August 4th or something. And it's obviously numbered based on which order you get to buy them in. They've also got like, what else? They've got like this mug here. They've got a mat for your desk. They've got joggers. By the way, the joggers are actually really nice. We actually tried out a bunch of different fabrics to test what the merch would be. And I gave my feedback. I have to say the jogger fabric was excellent. That was actually one of the best I've ever had. So I'm not even usually a big fan of that type of clothing. Also, I think there's something like if you order over $60, I think it's free shipping if you're in the US. And it does, in theory, it's not free, have shipping worldwide. So this isn't one of those ones like some of the sponsors where you're like, it doesn't do it in my country. As far as I know, assuming you're willing to pay the shipping, this can ship to anywhere. So obviously, thanks to everyone who wants to support Last Free Nation. This is a great way to do so. There's even like QR code you can scan on the screen there. And the idea is, hence why we're doing a limited drop now, and I've heard it's already selling like hotcakes, the proverbial hotcakes, is in the future, we will go and try and make like a Kassad Are You Insane t-shirt and stuff like that for the like different shows and the different quotes that people have and all that fun. So let's get into the show anyway. Obviously, we do on this show also now feature the audience. I was actually against it initially until I saw the hot takes, and I have to say they have actually they understood the assignment, as the kids on TikTok say, Maui. So what happens is I've noticed people have figured out the two types of hot takes you do is you either do a really good hot take with all detailed reasons like a fucking thesis, a white paper on why Falcon shouldn't sign Kioski or whatever, or you just do one in the style of Maui trying to trigger Kassad. You just do a mad one. You just do one like Tessa's second best spray of all time. And then you just wait for us to go ballistic. But again, remember, the way you submit a hot take, because we'll feature a couple here, is you have to subscribe to Last Free Nation Discord. But if you do, it actually gives you a lot of options. You can also submit like so many insight questions if you follow League of Legends. There's a League of Legends hot take point. There's also that industry show with Richard Lewis, the Four Horsemen. In theory, you can submit questions for all these shows and we'll pick from them. And obviously this show particularly, we will feature them. But let's get to the fan ones later. Let's start with one of our hot takes. So who has a hot take to start us off?
I'll do it.
Okay.
You wanna? But before, people need to understand that Duncan today is extra Duncan.
I've got some shit going on, mate. I just don't.
Before the show, he told me to shove it up my ass and God knows what else. Lucky for him, this is how we speak in Serbia, right? So and he's a good guy. Otherwise,
that's why the show works.
Otherwise, Sam would be replacing him for the show.
It's all good.
So yeah, Sam would be replacing Duncan. We stop there. And first take, because we are on the clock today.
Rod, I need to be fired from the show. Is that? Are you spinning it into that hot take? Okay, right.
No.
Thorin needs to be fired from LFN for it to ever succeed as a company. Okay, it's a bold take.
The first hot take is about G2. We haven't done that one for a while now, right?
Okay.
And I'm gonna say, because mostly, it's 99% sure that So and SunPayus are,
sure,
taking the. It seems that way,
yeah,
right? Everybody's saying that, so we might as well count it. After that move, G2 will, for the rest of the year, be a solid, constant top 5 team.
Ooh, that's a hot take, actually. Well, this roster, but with just SunPayus and So. No other changes.
Yes. And I'll go into details a little bit. And the one thing that kind of worries me...
With snacks as well, yeah? With snacks in the last.
Yeah, that's the thing that worries me. And then I have a sub take.
Okay.
Maybe that will, help with the hot take. Yeah. We don't have that. But the thing is, SunPayus coming in, obviously he's the best player in Heroic. We know that he played a very good Counter-Strike, especially in the big games on the stages. He always delivered numbers. Even in Falcons, he was statistically their best player before they sacked him. So you can just go back and check, right? It's out there, and if you watch the games, and he's been fairly impactful. And there is a reason why G2 picked him. I think he's the best one available on the market outside of this like top 3 on super elite snipers, right? So he is the best one to pick it up, and I think he's going to do well. The more important thing, they're getting a good coach. So he has been proven, like he's been like 3 or 4 different teams on 3 or 4 different majors, like different lineups and shit. So that's a proven track record. That's not a fluke. That's not like, he built a team together with Snappy and Ants. Then he went to Heroic, got this core, and then people got sold and bought, and like he go to the major again. Now they qualify for the second stage just a couple of days ago or yesterday. And like he's doing well. He's a good coach. The third thing is the people in current G2 will have stability. I know Hunter for 20 years now. I know what will make him play better. You can look Hunter now. He's not like he was in CS:GO. He's not like that player. Fairly like the reason for that is himself, right? The form dropped. God knows what happened. But there is a little bit of a lack of stability in the team. Let's say it like that, right? They have like the people coming in and out. The IGL's changing, not changing. Then JKS, Hooksy, Nico, Monesi, whole drama. As soon as he gets stability, he's going to become better by a large margin, right? He's probably not going to be the same old 2021, 2022 Hunter, but still is going to be like really, really good. And then you have Malbs, who is obviously suffering from the same issue, I think, as Hunter is, with a lack of stability, changing roles, trying to be Nico, not being Nico, being himself, dramas, like all this shit that's happening around him. I think that's going to change completely. He's going to be, stable player. And then you have Heavy God, he's a good player, probably their best player right now, I would say, in the current lineup and the current state of their team, right? With that, you have a great sniper, very mobile sniper, very vocal sniper, and very kind of outspoken and extrovert type of person. He's a Spanish dude. He's very loud. He's very friendly. He's very and that's something that Hunter is gonna appreciate, right? He's gonna like that kind of semi-family, having fun type of environment, but still doing the work and performing on a high level. Together we saw they're gonna do well. The only problem is there in the things like with this stake is snacks. I don't see him being there. I don't know why is he there still after this major, why he should be there for, and if he takes this personally, he's absolutely right, because it is personal towards him, so I don't care. The thing is he needs to be out of that team for that team to be, better. So my kind of sub-take is
here's the obvious question to ask him, though, kassad, though. You're having him in the team get top 5 in the world. Like, why are they going to fire him if he's top 5 in the world?
Because they want to be top 1 in the world.
Okay, but I don't know if they'll think that way. But
top 5 is like Aurora and Mongols right now. Is that enough? If you're G2, that's the good question. Like they probably paid that a lot of money for So and SunPayus, and then on top of that there is salaries. They're probably not small. I heard when So was in talks with G2 before. The only reason why they didn't get him is because he asked for a high salary. I doubt he just said no or he just decreased it. Especially
by the way, I will point out, I heard when he joined Heroic, he had an enormous salary, mate. So I imagine
it would be my kind of information is that he got around 30,000. I don't know if that's true or not.
No, I heard he was one of the highest paid coaches.
Because I don't know for sure. That's why I'm saying. Anyway, he probably knows they got money for Nico and Monesi, so why not ask for a high salary? I would do it. Everybody normal would do it. I think he's a pretty normal guy. So with that, I just think that, G2 as an organization will look for trophies. With Snacks, they can be top 5, but they cannot get trophies. My take was that they should get an IGL that doesn't require a lot of space, a lot of resources like other people. And that would be Kerrigan for another year. Or year or so, right? Because FaZe, let's say it, FaZe is... We don't know what's going to happen, right? It's kind of crazy, and Shui is on loan in Liquid. Maybe he goes to... There are swaps to be made, right? And then IGL with that type of team, he has already done it. He has at least a year and a half in him. I think he could be a valid addition as a sub-hot take, right, for G2 after the major. So, yeah, that's it. Top 5 this year with these changes.
And I just don't know if I can believe in it with Snacks at the helm. That's my main qualm with the whole thing.
That's what makes
The
it hot.
upgrade is clear. Yeah, that is where it's hot. Well done. Well done, Kassad. You made me think about it for a bit there. Nah, I mean, the truth is that Snacks did lead a team that was able to actually win some blast bounties. However, Nico and Monacy are very different than SunPayus and Malbs. So I don't really think
Yes.
that Snacks is cut out to be the IGL or the captain of a true top 5 team. Saw, though, can help a lot. Like, the thing is that I rate Saw very highly, so he could actually elevate Snacks regardless, or almost in some way just give him the game plan, and then Snacks just goes down a flowchart of what Saw wants executed in the server. Whenever they win a round, they do this. Whenever they lose a round, they do this. Whenever they have a half buy, they do this. Top 5, I just don't know if I really believe in the personnel beyond it. I know that I want to pump them up a little bit for being like right now on HLTV they're 8th, but to me that's an 8th that's been slipping for a while. That's an 8th that was at one point top 3, and then they basically just kept cratering as
They didn't get up to 8. They got down to 8. That's
yeah, they went down to 8 exactly. And I think that some of the teams that are gonna, and the thing is that I would just say 5th is crazy because Vitality's gonna be number 1 for me for the rest of the year, or at least a top 2 team. Mao, Spirit, Falcons are gonna occupy that 2 to 4 range, probably with Falcons at the top of it all. And then I just have way more faith in the Mongols. I have more faith in FaZe right now. I even think because Liquid are, as long as Liquid get a coach, like that's the main thing. I think Liquid has a chance to be the 5th best team, but until I find out who that coach is, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. G2 could be better than Liquid until they give somebody to help Shuhei out with the tactics. It's a good take because I think like it's actually more realistically like a true 7th best team in the world for me.
The thing is, like I think you are just looking at the G2 as it is now. Right? That's something that Duncan does a lot as well. He's like looking at the teams right now. I think right now is not a true measurement of the team because of the instability of the team itself, right? If they get stable team as it is right now, and then they fail or be 7th or 8th, then you're 100% right. I'm looking at a little bit down the road, like few months down the road, when they're actually stable without any drama, anybody leaving, staying, being replaced, and whatever, right? Maybe there is a question of Snacks again, but still, just looking at the team as it will possibly be, right?
Here's the obvious problem I have with this is it's not like we're changing 3 people. Like essentially the key part that you can't go into because obviously we don't know what coaches do is what the Saw effect will be. I'll give you credit, right? That potentially could be something that could like change some of these players. Because my problem is if I only look at the player change, it's only a 1 player change. And I'm sorry, it is downgrading. I know you went to Hades in the mid. You're downgrading from Monacy to SunPayus. And listen, I don't hate on SunPayus. I've always thought he's good. In fact, I think I say this with him and Wonderful and they're all just fucking victims of the AWP just not being the big gun in fucking CS2. It's just not that big a game for that. And MR12, you get less opportunities, you can't force buy, all that crap, right? So as a result, I do think SunPayus, by the way, if Monacy's not available, and obviously I can't have Ziwu and I can't have fucking Chiro, then yeah, actually SunPayus is about the next best one left, by the way. And I'll even say this, I actually think SunPayus can be better than fans think. So I see fans even still doing that thing like, yeah, but I saw like 1 game in Heroic, he wasn't that good. It's like, yeah, fucking Heroic, with all players I've never played CS in top tier before, and they're all bozos who barely played a LAN, and again, their roster, by the way, has literally been unstable itself and just playing online tournaments. Like, they haven't played any fucking LAN, so I can't judge him off that. I look at that player and I think to myself, it reminds me of the players from the end of CSGO where they just needed a better team. LXCB, Dexter, fucking pick whoever you want, Simple when they're coming back. I'll always give these guys like a little bit of time before I judge them too harshly. So I do think SunPayus one is fine, but my problem obviously is, before I know what Saw can do, if I just look at the roster when they did have Monacy, you can say all that about instability. Mate, they had a lot of LANs though. They probably played like, what, 6 or 7 LANs or something? Like, and Monacy, by the way, by the last sort of half of that period was really good as well. He was like MVP material and they could barely make the playoffs, bro. And if they made the playoffs, like, you were expecting almost anyone to cook these guys and knock them out. And then, by the way, anytime they ever would win a series, even like an unexpected one, it was such hard fucking work for both Monacy and the team. Like, so my issue there is, obviously I need way more from the others because some players can't do what Monacy can do. Even at his peak, that's not reasonable. So excluding Saw for a second, because that could be the magic factor. I don't know, maybe he's the alchemist that can spin this fucking into gold or whatever. The problem I have is obvious, which is it's the snacks factor. So I'll start with the snacks factor. It goes like this. bro, I actually think this is even a hot take because now everyone fucking agrees with me, but at the time they didn't. You all remember what it was like when we all were saying Huxley was like potentially should be fired from G2. As soon as Snacks joined and they made the EWC final and then they won that blast, everyone was going, Snacks is much better than Huxley. I think actually Snacks and Huxley proved that between the two of them, Huxley's the better IGL even in fucking G2 because Huxley had the scuffed lineup with Hunter when he actually had the other lineup, by the way, he could win the biggest events in CS except the major. When you came to Snacks, all he did is win the blasts. That's it. And I'm sorry, whenever you watch those performances, it was his 3 stars just shooting people in the head, literally. And spoiler, I mean, we've pointed this out on past shows like Snake and Banter, but at this point in time, hasn't everyone who's not in G2, almost at this point, bought skywriting like, it was Nico making all the calls? Like, it's almost everyone's done an interview by now where they say that. Like, essentially, no one ever goes, you remember that hero call? But yeah, that was Snacks. No one ever says that. No one even does the one where you just lie because you like him. By the way, as far as I know, none of these people dislike Snacks. They just don't go to give him credit because they don't think he deserves it. So my problem basically is, I do think as long as Snacks is there, top 5's too much. Because if I look at the teams, I'll do what kassad doesn't do and give my top 5. Right, obviously, I can immediately put Vitality, Falcons and Mouse, especially because Falcons is going to potentially add another player. I think even Spirit with Donk should still be better. But I'm with Maui. After that, the real problem you got if you're G2 is this isn't the beginning of the year. You got all these other teams, like TL could still get better. FaZe, we don't know yet. Will they gamble on Simple? Will they get another player? Will they reshift? That's the chance to be better. I agree with Mongols. I think Mongols is the one that's going to make it. Look, I'll give you this. I do think Aurora is on the way down. I actually think they're on the downslope now and like the Rubus is falling off, the map pool's falling. I think they are in trouble. My main problem with this move though is this. I've got 2 quick angles I want to give you. One is I can't ignore that Hunter's still in the team. Like, bro, Hunter, the entire time he was in this roster, wait there 1 second. The entire time Hunter was in this roster, and even actually, as soon as G2'S left, he's never been that good a player, unfortunately. Something went wrong with the Huxley era when he had Nexa, and then now with this roster. Like, it's never ever gotten to be a good player. So my problem is, if you want to activate him, I do feel like he probably just has to be the IGL. I think that's the last roll of the dice. Because as a player, he doesn't live up to it. And I'll tell you how you know he's not very good, guys. Because every one of his friends and people who like him go crazy when he has a good map. The joke is, you don't need to ask, when did Hunter have a good map? Everyone will tell you on Twitter. They will all tell you because it's like a fucking 3-month event. Like, oh my God, he had a 20 point. Like, that happens so rarely. So, first of all, Hunter and Snacks are both going to drag the team down. Then lastly, my other detail is this, and this is more of a subtle point, which is, this is where I actually think CS, unfortunately, fans think we're just being fanboys going on about the superstars. The reason I have the whole superstar theory is, I actually think even more than sports, like, it's really hard to, like, get top placings without a superstar player in CS2. CS2 has so much firepower component to it. And so my problem is when I look at the other, by the way, I think those other 3 players are all excellent players. They could all actually be in one of the best teams in the world. Evigod, slightly underrated probably. Malps, I would say now is appropriately rated. Now people have seen the downside without Nico. And by the way, I do think SunPayus is good. My problem is, for me, if I was making a roster, I would take any of those players, but they'd be my 2nd or 3rd best player, if you know what I mean. If I look at those 3, who's my number 1, if you know what I mean? Who's like my alpha dog? I don't know that there is one, mate. So my issue there is, you can do it by committee. We're talking about like FaZe types or Team Liquid 2019, but they don't have the great IGL. So it is the IGL and the structure that concerns me. I'll give you this though. I think the take is good because at least when you do think how many people would be top 5, it's close enough. And then crucially, essentially a lot of this take should rely on the Saw factor, that if he really can weave his magic and do something extra, or gets maybe he levels Hunter up a little bit, maybe he develops Marbs into the number 1 option who is like the mini Nick. If you can do that, it's actually a possible take. It's not a bad take, certainly.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I do agree with Hunter, like, Hunter analysis, like, he's basically 29, like, he's 29 now. We're forgetting that. They think that he's 24, 25. He's not 25 anymore. He's 29. And he's like, doesn't have consecutive good games or even events, right? Actually, not a single fucking consecutive event that he played good since God knows when. And games like where he plays well are very rare, right? And that's why people go nuts. I mean, you can take the grand final against Falcons where they lost 3-0. He averaged with 7 kills per map. Like, It's 20 kills for 3 maps. It's just substandard for a player that we expect in a team and whatever, right? Especially in the grand finals. But when it comes to the rankings and teams, like, the reason why they can with this lineup and the possibility, I want you to tell me the odds and possibilities here, because we are assuming that the Mongols are just going to keep like going straight line or upwards without even dropping a lot at all. But I think that they will drop at some point. even though they are one of the youngest teams, because, as time goes by, they will get red, they will get a little bit sick of each other, a little bit fatigued, a little bit like a form will drop, whatever, right? They cannot continue. I know that from experience. We've seen that a million times. With other three teams, Spirit, Vitality, and the Falcons, they have superstars. That's why we put them there. They play the best Counter-Strike. That's why we put them there. Number 4 is Maus, who is like, I guess they're there as the second or the third sometimes.
Yeah.
And then the 5th team can be G2 because, of the reasons that I mentioned. I'm not going to go into it again. But definitely, if you compare them to Mongols, Aurora, Liquid, and you said FaZe, nobody mentioned Navi for a reason, I guess. But they can still
Oh, by the way, if Navi makes a roster move, also possible they could leave. We just don't know yet. We don't know that one.
We don't know what's going to happen there. So there's like 4 or 5 teams battling for that, like, 2 spots, like 5th and 4th, I guess, right? Or 5th and 6th and 4th, maybe those 3 spots. I think G2 can get into that fight with this lineup, especially if they get rid of Stacks, right? Now, if they want to make Hunter IGL, that would be a solid move. I proposed that like 3 years ago. And he doesn't want to do it or whatever, like the story is, right? But with Snacks, it's going to be definitely harder. But I want you to, like, with all these facts, to tell me what is the probability of this happening. Like, low chance.
They make top 5?
That they make top 5 this year, a stable top 5 for at least, like,
for me, it's like maybe like, I'd give it like a 1 in 3 chance or something. So not bad, but not likely. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Because I think there's a lot of factors moving around, that all need to work out. But here's where I'll give you an obvious metric. If those 3 big name players are all HLTV top 20 players, then it's possible.
Yeah.
You don't have to be at the top. You can be like the old FaZe and be like 18, 19, 20 or something. You can be at the bottom, but if all 3 can perform, then you've got a chance. Obviously, it goes without saying, by the way, if SunPayus arrives and it just doesn't work for him, then you're fucked already. Like,
then there's no chance. There's 0 chance.
Yeah. Do you have a take, Maui?
Yeah. But first...
Oh, you haven't given your take. Come on, yeah.
I mean, well, no, I gave my take on Kassad's point. I mean, I was just thinking, though, that G2 right now stink. And you don't want to stink, obviously. And it is getting extremely hot here in Austin, okay? If you come down for the major, please, for the love of God, do something to make sure that you don't smell. And you can. You absolutely can with Mando. With Mando, which can be found at shopmando.com. That is shopmando.com. You can use promo code HOTTAKE, one word, HOTTAKE, and you can get $5 off the starter pack. All of us have used these products at this point. I travel with these products, actually, to events. I'm actually trying a different product out just to see how it works.
What's that one?
This is the whole body spray deodorant in the bourbon leather scent. Just because I'm trying out sprays, I've tried out the sticks, but the starter pack, you get options for everything.
CS player at heart, tried out sprays, of course. Old school, old school shout out.
Good spray control. Yeah. Make sure you have good spray control. Don't waste it. But yeah, no, I mean, Mando, this is it's a product that was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal body odor was being misdiagnosed and mistreated, and now they have created a product that is clinically proven to block odor all day, and it controls odor for up to 72 hours. I'm not going to lie. I haven't tested 72 hours, but I have tested 30 hours of being on planes, and it does a really good damn job. Like, I actually went up to my girlfriend immediately after getting on like a 30-something hour travel day, and I was like, can you smell me to see if these products still work? And she's like, it's not bad. It's good. It's good still. It's fine. So there. Testimony right there. But yeah, if you want to make sure that you smell good in this upcoming summer, make sure that you go to shopmando.com to get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code, which equates to over 40% off of your starter pack.
And I will say, I really like the soul patch. I find this.
I don't like this. I mean, I do like Mando, right? It's not that. I don't like the segueing part.
Okay.
They have a manly name, manly product that we can use, right? We don't need to do the segues. We need to do like a raw, just straight up into the ad, into the
just going in raw, right? I'll say. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
it's
like
going in
this.
dry. Some would say, Maui.
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, I'll tell you
I did like the spray control thing.
Okay.
That was a clever one.
All right.
Well,
I'm gonna go right into you, Kassad, with a take that goes right at one of your teams back in the day. I have a prediction that this FlyQuest roster will be in a year's time the most skilled Oceania core we have ever seen. And yes, I know what the Renegades.
Man alive. That got so much less sexy the more words came out in that sentence, didn't it? It was like the most skilled. Oh, Oceania, core, whatever. Yeah, okay, you win, I guess. Go and hit me with it. Why? Why is this going to happen?
Well, it's just, I mean, it's a hot take in that the FlyQuest team right now is what, 2-1 in the round of 32. They're in the round of 32 or something like that. I mean, like they're a far cry away from being what Kassad's Renegades team was achieving top 4 at a major.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm gonna go player by player as to why this team could be the most skilled Oceania core ever. Okay, because first of all, Ince is he's just better than Azure. I'm just gonna throw that out there. He's just a more skilled player. He actually has pop-off potential, map to map. He could be a better CT side player overall. Maybe back in CSGO, Azure was doing more of the right thing, but I like Ince who can just multi-frag whenever they go into him, or he's just rotating and gets a couple of kills. Second up, Regali is better than Gratisfaction ever was. Okay, he's just better than he ever was immediately right there. And then we get into some of the new guys. Well, the third one is Liaz. That's the same player. So just taking that one right there is kind of a neutral ground there. But then the last two players are Vexite and Nedic versus Jacom, and JKS. Okay, so Vexite today is less skilled than Jacom was in 2019. However, at the Berlin Major. However, Vexite is only 20 years old, and Jacom was 25 years old at that major. In a year's time, he's going to gain so much more experience. He's already playing better under Ince than he was under Dexter, because Ince is just calling more in the Aurora style, I would say, whereas Dexter was still playing like 2014 Fnatic defaults. It was just like, you guys are just spread around for so long. Like, eventually people are just going to die because they don't know what to do next. But Vexite, now that he's got objectives in rounds and is just taking map control or the first in on an entry, he's looking really sharp. Like, his pure ability in those kinds of moments, he's getting multi-frags that I didn't even think he was possible of getting when Dexter was calling for him. And now the final guy, the new piece, the New Zealander Nedic, dude, this guy clearly was the best Oceanic talent that wasn't on a tier 1 team. And FlyQuest made a big, in a way, it was a big risk for them to drop their most experienced player and in-game leader in Dexter. But Nedic is just a talent that if they let that guy slip away to either a European team eventually or to another Oceanic team, he would have just ended up beating them. Like, the things he did to BetBoom yesterday were just absurd. Like, he is multi-fragging like Magnajez, Axile, Zorte in like 3 individual bursts where it's just like he's perfectly peaking them. His crosser, it's not even like his crosser placement is always like 100% perfect. It's that his first bullet accuracy when he's making adjustments is so ridiculous when he's on a heater. And I think that JKS is the one guy that probably achieving what he did in terms of HLTV top 20 status may be difficult, but in the aggregate of Vexite and Nedic and the rest of Ince, Regali, Liaz, I do think in a year's time is going to be more skilled looking than what Renegades were back in 2019.
This is Duncan. Like, this is.
I like it.
I don't know where to begin. The thing is, like, you can see that American education is like broken. Like, how can they let this guy be in Colombia, right? Did you have the nudes of the dean or something? So they're like blackmail them to let you in or something? Like, you are mad. Like,
yeah,
you're just crazy. I'll put it this way. You said like a year's time. That's what, 2 majors from now?
Possibly.
Yes, in 2 majors.
They will overachieve us and become the most skilled.
I didn't say overachieve.
No, he said skilled core, the most skilled core.
What are you basing that? Results? Stats? Wins? Success?
Individual ability.
Based on what? Individual ability. Does the individual ability translate into victories and high placements? Or
Obviously,
just you can play well and lose?
Obviously, it helps, but it's not everything.
So if they're individually, all of them better than all of us back then, they should technically be placed higher in the rankings and have more success.
I guess it depends how stacked you think the field was in 2019. You'd probably have to have
the most stacked it ever was.
You could argue that, certainly.
So tell me where do I translate that so I can offer you a deal?
Okay, offer him a deal. What the fuck?
If they, so that's what 3 majors from now. So we don't count
It's
this.
not really
one.
called like hot take
2.5.
negotiation
It's like
made,
2.
is it? I mean, it's just you give.
I'll give you 3 majors. You want me to give you
don't.
3 majors or 2 majors? How many majors do you want?
It's like
2 or
2.5.
3.
I mean, it's the first major.
I don't want to
of
count this
the
one.
upcoming year. Okay.
If they don't make it, I won't count it, so I'll give you 2 more.
Okay.
Right? And if they do make it, you win. So if they make it to semis and the levels that we were, I will buy you a business class ticket for any flight that you want for your vacation. A round trip.
See, normally
Anyway.
I'd say the problem here, Maui, is it's so far in the future. Like everyone will forget this, so you'll never get paid. But actually, as last year
No, he will
showed,
get paid. It's recorded.
As
It's gonna
last
be up
year
there.
showed, kassad is
Because-
willing to
Yeah.
pay out of his own pocket whether he's ever going to get anything back for it entirely. So I believe he will pay for it.
If they don't make it with this score or this lineup, you will publicly make a video where you are apologizing for diminished or trivializing our.
I think here's what he has to do,
Accomplishments in
kassad. He has to
2009.
make a video where it's like a tribute to how good Renegades 2019 is.
Yes,
That's what he has to do.
yes.
He has to talk everyone
Do
up.
we have a deal?
Yeah.
Are you that confident?
Would you make the deal?
Sure,
wanna take
sure.
the
We'll
deal?
look at the run. We'll look at the run in depth. The in-depth analysis of the Renegades Berlin major.
Okay.
run.
No. There is no in-depth analysis. It's like how good we are. There's not like they're bad at
Yeah,
this.
you have to
and
play
that.
us.
It's
Yeah.
just a
Exactly.
pure praising like video
Yeah.
and how great kassad is and everything.
Sure. I'll do it.
And if
How
they
great
make it,
kassad is.
I am happy to buy you a round trip ticket, business class, to wherever you fucking want. Yeah? Now to go
Yeah,
to
sure.
the all right, deal. Now the players. First of all, you comparing G2'S to any of these players is just madness, in my opinion. There is nobody that's close to mechanically skilled as G2'S was in these Renegades. No one even close. 0 people are close there. So I don't know how hard they work, how dedicated they are, whatever. I don't have insight in that. But when it comes to like pro skill, mechanical skill, talent, nobody's even close. Otherwise, we would seed something. The second player, Gratisfaction, you compared it to Regali. You said Regali is like to whatever better, like opping, straight up opping, and like those easy kills. Yes, he's better. Overall, with the X Factor supporting role, because he had a supporting role in our team, not even close. Regali doesn't know how to throw fucking 3 grenades. He's good, he's sharp, but when it comes to
Yeah, but he is
supporting,
saying skill though. That's the problem. He's not saying as a player. That's the issue.
that's a part of your skill as well, your craft. Your skill as a Counter-Strike player is to know how to throw grenades and rotate.
Sure, no, come on, listen. I'm
Not just
not
shooting
even
people in the
Maui's
head.
biggest fan here, but like, if he says skill, it can't include throwing flashbangs. Come on, because remember,
When it comes to-
all right. Here's the problem: Maui really means aim. I think Maui means aim. That's what he means by talent. He doesn't mean like because you're thinking skill means like how good you are.
Aim,
at the
yes,
game,
yes, probably aim. Aim is there and better, right? Overall,
That's
but
why it's a
to me,
hot
that
take, because
doesn't count.
what he's basically saying, the short version is this, kassad. Forget all the rest. I'll translate it to you. He's basically just saying Inns, fucking Regali, and Netic, and Vexite, forget the other one, they're just overall more skilled than their counterpart. Therefore, even though
No, not
the
even
reason
close.
the reason it's a
I'll
hot
get to
take,
that, I'll get to
the
that.
reason
Not
it's a
even
hot
close.
take is because you were in the semis of the world with your team. So
Yeah, but
to a fan,
it's still-
since this
it's
roster
a
will never,
shit take.
since
It's not
this
a hot
roster
take.
will never be semis of any tournament except the
Yes.
fucking Oceanic one, it's a good hot take in that sense.
I was gonna
It's
get
just
to
a
that.
good-
I was gonna get
okay.
to that as well. Just like
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Then we have so we spend the Gratisfaction. Azer is 10 times smarter than Inns is when it comes to him. He's stubborn, he's lazy, he's whatever, right? But he's smart as fuck, Azer. He is super smart about the game. He will give you a instant solution to the problem if he just uses his brain. He refused to use it, but that's another question. That's another problem. He just refused because he was too lazy to use his brain. He would rather do nothing.
Okay.
But he's extremely smart.
Kept
And
the
I wish
safety on
that-
his brain. Okay, I like
yeah,
it.
we can speak to Gomez, like who was there and who is there now, and he was with us. He is a perfect person to kind of compare.
I like the way if it was up to kassad Maui, this would be like court, and he would now call up Gomez as like a special witness. He would appear in another box,
exactly.
and even though this has nothing to do with your point, he would just make Gomez on the stand and say that like actually the old lineup was better or something like.
And then we have Jacob, right? And then we have Jacob that you compared with who? Backside? Onetic? Who did you compare him?
The thing is that
Doesn't
fucking
KS
matter.
is.
Doesn't
I
fucking
mean,
matter. You can
Nenek
compare
and
it to
Vexite
both of them
both kind
together.
of do what Jacob did.
Okay.
Nobody
Yeah.
in Oceanic region ever was gonna be is gonna be close, or was or is whatever close to Jacob's aggression and sharpness. Nobody even close. Like nobody even close. What this guy did and could do.
Nedic will be.
No, he won't. He won't.
Nedic will be. Yes.
What this guy could and what he did to the highest level, you cannot compare it to any Australian team. In the day of Renegades, 100 Thieves, whatever, these teams, that FlyQuest is losing now, we would wipe the floor with all of these teams on a regular basis. In North America, in Oceanic region, in Europe, in any events, any tier 1 events that we played, we had teams like Heroics, teams like whatever the fuck, who was in up-and-coming teams. We destroyed them all. We didn't lose to those teams. We did lose occasionally to some random team here and there, but most of the cases we delivered and we slammed everybody. That's why we were constantly in the playoffs, like Aurora is right now, like Mongols are right now, simply because the players were so good. And the coach wasn't bad. But the thing is like the thing is like they also don't have a coach. They have Aircast, who is like a former player. I don't know how good he is when it comes. He's a good guy. I know him from like events and shit. I don't know how good he is when it comes to that. Can he do something with those teams? Because you need to elevate those players a little bit to kind of go above 100% to get there, right? Because that's what we did. We like punched over our weight class a little bit. So maybe a little bit more. But then you have Lias. We didn't mention Lias. Lias is a worse version of himself than he was, by far. And I wish that's why I was going to tweet. I was going to tweet this yesterday or the day before, but he was top fragging, so I was like, whatever. He still has the same problem that he had 5 years ago, or 6 years ago. Didn't move a single inch, and I wish I was smarter back then in 2019 and 18. I was a better guy back then to spend and to understand and spend more times individually with him. And just try to like make him a little bit better than he is and then unlock the potential. Because he had the talent, he had the potential, he was just too fucked up in his own mind when it comes to Counter-Strike. And he is a closed up guy and whatever, but he had the talent, I just didn't reach him enough. And I made a mistake there, and I wish I did more for him as a coach. And I think he would be a lot better.
He's more accomplished, so before people confuse what I say, I mean, I feel like Lias kind of is becoming the floppy of Australia. He's just kind of, we saw some.
Right, he needs to be kicked from the team to improve.
Yeah, but like,
no, it's a joke. Keep going.
It is kind of reaching this point where he's solid, and you're not mad to have him on the team or anything like that. It doesn't seem to be a problem person or anything like that, but he's just like, in terms of what some other anchor, lurker, late round players are accomplishing in these kind of roles, you just feel like there's a little bit more to give. And
The thing is, like, your intake is insane. 100% will never be close to any shred of truth, and you're gonna make that video. I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna pin it to my Twitter. I'm gonna fucking watch it almost every day.
The real problem with this take...
I'll let Thorin go.
The real problem with this take goes like this. It's literally just a semantic divide where kassad doesn't count skill. Everyone in the Western world in English kassad, when they say skill, they really just mean aim. It's why I agree with you. It was quite good a couple of years ago on this show where you said you call good aim sharp instead of like just a really good player. Because I do think people make the mistake. An obvious example of this, by the way, would actually be my beloved Config, wouldn't it? Even at the end, he had bonkers fucking aim, mate, but he wasn't a very good player at the end. He was kind of a bit mid, wasn't he? So that shows that like pure aim alone can't really define you as a good player. The problem we have is, it's a bit like what you said before. Typically, it is true that the people who are motivated in the right teams with really good aim then become the best players. So people will think it's the same thing, but I agree there's a little bit separate there. And I actually think this team, by the way, this is why I can see why there's a dispute here. I'll say this. I think Maui's hot take isn't bad at first glance, because if you strictly do it how he does, essentially just who has like good aim in the team, the key thing is it's actually quite a clever team to contrast against. Because one of the reasons I give you a lot of credit is that I do think the Renegades lineup was actually underpowered. Like I always said, mate, anyone who tells me kassad is a bad coach, you go and take Gratisfaction 2019 and go to the semis of a major. You fucking won't. You won't. The joke is you could have put that guy on fucking Team Liquid and you wouldn't be in the semis of a major. Like, that's really hard because as you're pointing out, as you described the players, it was all about like how you got the best out of them, how each player, you noticed, except for JKS and Jacob, you notice he didn't actually basically say the other players were that skilled. skill, Maui, or a great aim, etc. He sort of made the point that they had other intangibles, or for example, Gratisfaction was one of the few people who could be a support AWPer. That wasn't a thing for other people, because half the time when they say support AWPer, they don't even fucking throw the flashes. He actually was a support player who used the AWP, if that's a better way to say it. My problem here is this, though. When I actually lock in, first of all, this is where the take doesn't work for me, Maui, which is, I think this is where seeing some of the best players of Renegades 2019 play in the years later has dulled your memory, and it has made you think those players are comparable to who they are today. No. Yes, if we're talking about those players today, then FlyQuest wins. But if we go back to 2019, first of all, let's just start with G2'S. He was like an Australian, think of what I just referenced TL 2019. Take their best players, and he was like an Australian version of one of those. You pick which one he's like. I guess in terms of roles, in terms of skill set, I always thought like Elijah. He has fucking fabulous spray, really high skilled. Yeah, he was pretty sweet. He was a very good player. I always thought, by the way, it never happened. But if he'd have actually been in a team, he got a G2 towards the end of his career. If he'd have been in one of those teams in his prime, he could have been in like a ROPS type spot and been a player who would have been like top 10 HLTV. I don't think he ever would have been like top 5 or something silly, but I'll say that I think at his peak he could have done that. I do think people forget, sadly, how good he is, because they just remember G2 and TL and like, oh, he just wins you a clutch and plays anchor. Like, no, he used to also drop 30 bombs on motherfuckers' heads and actually go head to head with the other star. So there's nobody on FlyQuest is comparable to that, in my opinion, right now. I will give you this, by the way. The one X factor for Maui is the Netic guy. I thought there was no talent in Oceanic regions, I've got to say, because I've seen them churn through the same players, and I've seen the players on the second and third best tier, and they weren't any good. They were just average as fuck. Like, I always just thought this, bro, you're just getting hyped because you're Australian, they have the Australian flag. If that guy was from fucking like Poland, so you wouldn't give a fuck about that guy. Like, the joke is, people have been and gone. In fact, from my example from Poland, Hades and Dika are better than any of these fucking players in this squad, and they're nobody right now, mate. Like, they're getting people almost like burning down the G2 office when they even stand in for the team. That's how much people don't give a fuck about these players. So already Australians are overhyping their players. The Netic one I'll give you, though, is very new, so maybe he can be good. And by the way, he does look like he has sharp aim, to use the kassad terminology. The Vexite one I have a bit of a problem with, not because he flamed me a year ago. I'm capable of actually analysing, despite what a person writes on Twitter. His problem is this: the motherfucker never turns up in the real games. What he'll do is, in a major, if you give him Lin Vision and he'll farm those guys and he'll drop a 20 bomb, and then when he actually plays a real team, he'll have a map where he has 7 kills, and he'll have a map where he has 12 kills, and he'll have a map where he has a few kills but he doesn't get the big closeout round or whatever. So my problem with him is, it's one of those examples of where people do that, like he's young and up. You can't be that forever. Like, you got to eventually stabilise. Like, here's the problem. It's not like he's only just coming to his first major. That's why the Netic guy can give the chance. Vexite, I think, has skill, but my issue is, bro, he's been in a lot of lands now. A lot of tier 1 lands this guy's played. He's played a lot of majors too. And by the way, he's got mad experience. Remember, back in the day, Kassad, the early majors in CS2, it used to be something like 9 maps to win the major. Mate, if you start at the beginning of these Swiss systems, FlyQuest have had majors where they probably played like 15 maps. I'm going off the top of my head here, but like, if you've ever made it through a couple of Swiss, you play a lot of maps, you play a lot of BO3s. They're always in the BO3s, remember, even if they fluke the BO1. So I don't think Vexite can get there. Like, pretty sweet. Essentially, he isn't at the level of the J.K.S. and Jacob. I don't ever think he will be. I also think Jacob is forgotten. People forget. This guy, by the way, one of his qualities was aim. He had a very sharp fucking AK if he ran into a site. It wasn't just, by the way, like, oh, he goes aggressive. He was like some sort of like Norwegian exile, mate. He had like really nice fucking crispy aim. He would run in, and I'll tell you what, even though he was older in Renegades, he used to win duels against some of the best fucking CT players. It was very impressive, actually. I always thought that...
Sammy's in Paris
that was the renaissance to this guy's career. Yeah, he also had that last period, you're right, at the end of CSGO with the run with Apex. He was half decent. So, no, I actually do think he's an underrated player. So those two players, I don't think any... Netic, it's not impossible, but he's not there now. So that's part of the hot take. Vexite's never going to be as good as J.K.S. and Jacob at their peak. I don't think I'm even hating by saying that. And by the way, I'll even give you the Regali one. If we're talking pure skill, yes, if you had a gun against my head, Maui, and you said, if you don't hit this 7 out of 10 AWP shot, you die. I'll take Regali to hit the shot instead of Gratisfaction. Although I'll even say then, if we're talking, this is why it has to be pure skill and outside of the server. Inside the server, I would take Gratisfaction though, because I actually know what he can do. I even thought, by the way, as an AWPer, he wasn't an idiot. He didn't try to like quick peek simple. He would play like his spots and his angles.
That's where we land.
You know.
That's where we land, and I'll tell you, I'll talk about a little coaching secret and how I got one over the other teams, like how we got good. Okay. Because teams right now, they all try to copy Vitality, they all try to copy Falcons. Right. Like, listen, you are not good as Zyvu. You are not smart as Robs, and you are not sharp as Flames or Nico or whatever, right? You have your own qualities. As a coach, you need to understand what type of guy. In Renegades 2018 and 19, I couldn't run like, heads-on fighting kind of game because I would lose all the time. If I need to go and tweak a little bit here, play this type of game, have a supporting op, because if I go heads-on ops, Gratisfaction against Simple, who wins? Gratisfaction against Kenny S, who wins? Gratisfaction against the Guardian, who wins? It's always the other guy. So I tweaked a little bit, and I played him as a support, and I played him in the clutch. Then our game wasn't like super like default, and then we just take the fights. No, because we lose against top tier players. We throw a little bit of a smokes there, maybe a fake here, maybe a little bit grouping up there, maybe a straight up like shred from something. Then I look at the shred from the best team and like, okay, this is a good idea. Maybe we tweak it like this, whatever, right? And then we speak to each other and then we play. Everybody understands what they need to do, and then we go. That's how we were good. We didn't have superstars. And maybe that's the problem of FlyQuest right now. They have some of the pieces, but they try to play like Vitality. If you try to do Vitality, you're going to lose because you don't have the ropes. Yes. You don't have the Zaivu. And that's just super simple as this. Many coaches, including like some of the considered top tier coaches, are doing this. They're making their teams copy and trying to reproduce what the teams that are successful are doing in terms of strategies, but they have different pieces, different like levels of players. They have in the past there was a lot of sharp players. They're not very smart. First of all, Duncan, you remember this guy, Next from Mousesports.
Sure, of course.
That guy was one of the sharpest people I've seen.
Yes, very good aim.
But he was as dumb as a doorknob. He couldn't do anything. And then you had the complete opposite. You had Speedy, who was a ass in terms of skill. But the guy was calm. He was smart. Yeah. He was trying to
he was filling in the gaps. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then you had like players with both qualities, like Flasha. Flasha was like super good aim. He was the Ziptix as well, decent aim, smart and stuff like that. And then you need to, as a coach, if you're Aircast or whatever coach you are, understand what type of qualities your players have and base your game of that. That's like Southampton trying to play Manchester City, style. You know what happens? 0-7 every round.
I mean, the joke is you should have said Burnley because Company did do that and he got relegated.
Yeah.
It's the same analogy,
and then he got the job in Bayern.
Same analogy.
Yeah, but
by the way,
what I'm saying.
I don't, like I say, it's actually a good hot tip because it did technically factor. It wasn't the players now, it's in a year from now. One last player I didn't mention though, so I'll quickly mention him now. The Inns take, I think, is hot ass. Like, I don't give a fuck who you call. That player is mad overrated. I've even said the same line myself, Maui. Inns is the best player on FlyQuest. Yeah, what I meant was like he's the fucking best looking. He's the person with the most limbs in the leper colony. There's a fucking straight fire one for you. I've invented that one right there. Yeah, that's good, but it's still not. I'd rather just be a guy with all my limbs, Maui, if you know what I mean. So my problem with that one is Inns is made to be in Swiss Stage 1, not any other fucking part of the tournament, and definitely never make it in the playoffs of a major. By the way, he's also not even a young player. He's fucking donkey's years old, played a million years. Like, the problem here is this. In theory, Netic might get better. Vexite could, in theory, but the problem is that beyond that, I don't think Regali's going to get twice as good, So I don't hate it. Like, if we do it on aggregate, you may be a tiny bit right. The problem is I do think you've forgotten how good JKS and Jacob. I think they were really good at them. That was the end, to be fair, when they were really good, but they were really good. Right, let's do a fan take. Because I've got one, but I'll save mine till the end. So here's a fan take for you. Caged says, any player who gives away, this is like a Maui stream take, any player who gives away a free kill / round by quick switching needs to be benched immediately and perhaps even arrested. Mouse wheel jumps are one thing because they're involuntary inputs, but getting caught running with a knife / nade in an area you thought you had control of is a reasonable mistake. But quick switching is a habit with zero upside, besides fidgeting and seeing the funny knife twirl. Everyone picks it up early on, but I think it's a necessary habit to have broken down well before the top level of CS. It's really wild to watch the best players in the world still hand over free rounds on a silver platter to unnecessary inputs they're actively making, which only open up a 1 to 2 second timing to die for free. And from the pundit perspective, it seems like something that just gets shrugged off as part of the game, and then he basically says, I'm sure they get ripped by their teammates, but they obviously don't do anything to change it. In conclusion, listen, the end part makes it all. You ready? In conclusion, if I'm a coach and Modesty himself loses my team around due to quick switching, I'm immediately throwing him out of his chair, pissing on his contract, and taking the 5th position in the server. So, okay, he gets a bit silly at the end there. Thoughts? Thoughts, boys? Thoughts?
I like the pissing part. But that's something I would do. But Maui, you can take. I have my argument, but I'll let you take the lead.
I mean, we gloss over it because what are we? I mean, unless it's on a pivotal round at a pivotal point, like what am I going to do with my 7-minute to 9-minute death segment? Use 2 minutes breaking down this guy quick switching. There's more important things to talk about. Always there are more important things to talk about. It's not happening on round 23, round 24 almost ever. I've already seen it in this stage 1. You know, I forgot which players were doing it, but I saw, I think it was probably somebody on Fluxo.
I mean, it's pretty common to be fair as well. There's a lot of players do this shit.
Yeah, it was in the last game.
Especially the Inspect Eagle is probably the most classic one of all time, isn't it? Everyone does that for the animation, you know.
Yeah. Inspecting things like increase the percentage of people dying to it by
it definitely is it's definitely a bad habit. I mean, this guy is just going full draconian on anybody that
oh no, he just kills you basically if you break the law. Exactly.
You're publicly executed if you just press Q twice, you know. So
he's running he's not even doing the Mauisnake, he's doing the chairman Mauisnake approach to CS.
Exactly, yeah. The better way to frame it would probably just be like fine them. If you do it in an official match and you die, you pay 1/5 of your salary that month or whatever the hell. Like something like that. Like that'll break the habit real fast, I'll tell you.
No, by the way, I know what you mean, Maui. I'll take this very quickly because Kassad's a coach, so I want to see what he actually says from a coach perspective. I'll say as an outsider, I'm with you at the end there. I do think, by the way, it might be worth doing some like very minor but like token gesture to encourage people not to do it, because I do agree it does give away the odd round. And look, it very rarely actually costs you a game, but the idea it ever can does piss me off. I have to say that annoys me. I mean, I think I've told people this story back in the day. There was a really old 1.6 player from NA who was a really good player who had a habit where during the round in real life he would pick his mouse hand up and sort of rub the sweat off like that and then put it back down. And when I used to stand behind
many people do that.
I literally saw him miss kills in like real CPLs because of that. As in, like, the guy came on the corner just when he's doing it and I remember saying to him, because he was a mate of mine, you know, if I just told your teammates like why you just died there, they'd probably go mental. And he was like, yeah, but it's just a habit I do. So in general, problem is it's going to be hard. It'd have to be a coach thing. You're right, Maui. Basically, you have to think of it like a coach like who wants good defense in the NFL, finding people who don't make the proper tackle and let the guy go past with just an arm tackle or something. Like, I could believe that could. The problem is though, he nailed it in his own point there. The reason why the take fails is because, as he pointed out, it isn't just the fucking shitter players who do this. It is the best players in the world. Like he says, by the way, I've seen Simple do 1 million fucking times where he switched around. I've seen Nico inspect the Deagle, but of course they have. Like, these players just do it because, unfortunately, whatever, they played 1 billion hours in the game. It really, by the way, you nailed it. It is a fidgeter thing. They're doing it like a fidget, one of those things that you spin around, or it's fidget spinner or whatever. That's what they're doing in the game when they're sick of just sitting watching the B apartments on Mirage for 700 years to see if someone comes or if they have to rotate. Like, it's something they do to keep their brain active. If you don't know, by the way, the first person who made this famous back in the day was Heaton back in 1.6. He used to always switch between his knife and his gun constantly. Now, to be fair, it was actually a quicker switch back then than it is in CSGO. But the reason he did it is because he got really bored. He was one of those people, if you think like Flames now, they don't want to just sit there and watch the angle. They want to be moving and doing something and thinking and getting a fight. So, unfortunately, I think it'd be pretty swear. I agree with the overall take in the sense that I wish people could stop this happening, and I wish on a coaching level we could do it. Because I will say, if you ever listen to me do my casts, I don't pretend to be the greatest tactician or know the game better than people. But I always tell people what boils the piss out of me is if I was a coach, I would put so much time in on fundamentals. Things like this, things like fucking how you save guns. Like, if you're doing a 3-man save, don't fucking peek at the last second and let 2 people die. You just wasted the round and you didn't do the save. Classic one is stuff like people don't even do crossfires properly sometimes, even though there's probably those powerful concept on CT side. People don't give the proper gun to the star player. They keep those basic pet peeves we all have. I do wish we could iron those out. But obviously, I imagine to make it a hot take, I think he's cooked it with too much spice on this one. He shouldn't really obviously be fine. What do you all take, Kassad? Is this something you even care about?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense. First of all, like, I do agree that as a coach, you have to work a little bit more on the fundamentals. I think you gave some of the good examples. For example, that gun saving thing is super annoying to see when you agree to save 3 guns.
Like, I'm talking about stuff that might get you like a round or two more. It's just a little bit extra.
That one M4 can make the difference in the next round.
Yes.
Yeah, and all the difference. You can win the round. It can, that one defuse that you lost, that one smoke that you didn't have to re-smoke B or whatever the fuck, right? So that's something that needs to be done. When it comes to crossfires, you said yourself, that's a situational thing. I think the comms in those situations is more important than the actual crossfire itself. Like you can say, like, listen, you play off me, or let's pick together. It's a comms thing rather than a cross. That's the important part in the fundamentals. But this hot take is interesting, at least. But as a coach, you would have to see, like, where does it come from? Like, does your player have a bad habit because he inspects too much fucking knives, gloves, and grenades and whatever deagles in the Faceit games that he plays, and that's why he created a bad habit? Then I would agree that if he gradually doesn't stop doing that, then you can find him, then you can do whatever the fuck you want, right? Because those bad habits from Faceit games and pugs, they are there. Repeaking,
oh, for sure,
man, not like bad utility, like bad comms, like because you're tilted because some Russian guy didn't turn on his mic or whatever the fuck is happening, right? So those are, if it comes from there, then yes, find him, piss on his contract, set it on fire, whatever the fuck you want to do, right? If it comes from a position where he has like attention, deficit disorder type of thing, that he has to move, he is like that type that has to do something with his fingers, has to you try to like work with that in a sense that it's not gonna disrupt the player's flow and change the player who he is just because you are on his ass because he is quick switching and he end up dying once or twice in 74 maps, right? Because the percentage of that, how high it is. Like, do you die 1 in 5 maps, 1 in 10 maps? Like that in a crucial moment? I don't think so, right? So you have to examine it there and then see if you can change it, right? It just needs to see, you need to find a source. You can't just like throwing, fines and shit at people that, because like the same way that aggressive, fidgety type of player is gonna lose that round, because of that, he's gonna beat you some rounds. He's gonna pick somewhere. He's gonna say something. He's gonna, do something that's gonna turn the game to your side, and you have to live with those things. Sometimes you have to live with those things, and that's just the way it is. But if it comes from being a bad habit, then absolutely you need to talk to the guy, yell, whatever is your method, right? As long as he understands he doesn't need to do that, and it's kind of fucking other people up. That mouse thing that you said that the guy is like whatever, like doing, right? That's just fucking crazy. And he said, yeah, but that's something I do. It's a habit. Yeah. There's a lot of habits like that are not good for you,
Yes.
So that doesn't mean that you can do it. But it's an interesting point. I think that the guy was thinking clearly, about like what he wants to write. Obviously, he didn't complete it, but that's fine. The argument.
Yeah, it was more to make it spicy. Yeah.
Yeah.
The real problem he has also, by the way, I can tell you from knowing people who are coaches, is that's always the thing when you're not in the room that everyone thinks. They think, I'd be like Bill Belichick or Alex Ferguson. I wouldn't allow this. And you have to look, bro, even they, if you were really exceptionally good, even they would allow fucked up shit. They would allow, like, if you don't know, where Bill Belichick used to be the defensive coordinator of the Giants, he would let Lawrence Till just skip the meeting. Because Lawrence Till, like Kassad said, would then do things no other player could do. So unfortunately, one thing you have to always remember is the coach isn't really like us, a perfect individual trying to make the game as well. He has to keep his job. He has to win this next game. So you can't really go, hey, Morrissey, you're benched. And also, by the way, even though I know you just said it as a joke, I'd like you to go to court in Germany and tell him that the reason you kicked the player is he quick switched, so you pissed on his contract. Like, I think you're probably going to be losing that one. You're going to be paid out an awful lot of money on it. You're going to basically pay a whole contract for fuck all on that one.
The people that say that they're gonna just cut everybody because they have one bad habit just have never.
It's unrealistic in it. Come on, yeah.
Like they haven't even been managers at any kind of position with power. Because if there's only a finite amount of time and talent you have to develop resources or to even pick from for trying to get somebody to fill these kinds of positions. And so you're always taking concessions on anybody that's entering your field, and you want to make sure that you put forward the best product, the best team, whatever that is. And so if you just say, I'm going to cut everybody, you're just going to, first of all, also, you're going to develop a reputation that you can't work with anybody also. So it's like, you'll just get fired after like 5 months. Because
by the way, you're right. There's another factor you haven't thought of. Let's say in this analogy you really did that. Well, spoiler, you do that to Morrissey. Now no superstars ever joining your team.
You're just going to get fired.
Yeah, of course. Because they'll just hear that's the dickhead coach that wrecks you. The other ones are all normal, so you'll just join every other team. By the way, I've
also like that stupid cliche that says like, nobody's fucking perfect, right? And
Yeah,
that's
that's
just the
true.
way it is. You have to accept that somebody's going to have some downside.
Well, even though you say no one's perfect, I'll end on my hot take. So my hot take can end the show, because what I realise, guys, I won't do it too much. I won't abuse this power I've now realised I have. But I've realised the source of all truly great hot takes is simple, because it's still uncertain if he'll ever be really good. But we all know how good he was, and he was the ultimate outlier. So it means he essentially defies all rules and principles and patterns, right? So here's the simple, it's the weekly simple hot take. This one's going to be even better than all the other ones. Get ready. So as long as he doesn't go inactive again, if Simple plays for 2 more years, he will win a major in CS2. Let that marinate for a second. Let the room, the hushed tones. Oh, he's done it this time. He really does just suck his dick, right? Who said that? Throw them out, have them removed and piss on their contract and their ticket, right? Here's the reason why. Because one, notice I did say he has to play actively again. He can't just be coming in and out like this and doing 3 months and going, oh, it's not my real roster. He has to actually commit to being a real player again. I'm not saying for what team, by the way. I'm even going to take the angle that I don't know if he'll end up on a good team, but if he ends up on Na'Vi or he gets onto FaZe or whatever, I even will say one thing that he should play against me is a lot of his career he had success playing with Russians. Doesn't matter, because that's even one of my reasons why I'm going to pick this. Because one, he has now entered the international scene, and we know he speaks English. So actually, if anything, he has more options for teams now. That's why it's important he has to keep playing and commit to being good again, so people get the real Simple. If he commits, by the way, he doesn't even have to be the number 1 player. I think if you look at, first of all, if you look at his style of play, I actually think Na'Vi, except for the latter rosters, underused his style. Some people will know his teams were notorious for Edward having the AK and him having the Deagle. They were notorious for, like, one player could have force-bought like an AWP, but they wouldn't. They'd all buy like half buy or something. Like, I think if you put him, I mean, the joke is if he stays in FaZe, Carrigan will do this, mate. I'm telling you, Carrigan will force feed this guy AWPs. He'll make sure this guy gets the weapon every time. I'll also throw this out there. Bizarrely, it's actually this mini comeback where he isn't even good yet that I actually thought of this take, because, mate, one of the things, Maui, on the cultural impact thing that is also real is, bro, when Simple just entered the server, you could even see players for real just reacting to the name in the fucking kill feed. You could see players that currently are better than him, sort of like double second guessing, like a step forwards to peaking, basically, because their brain was like, Simple just killed 2 of my team. You could see that. The Simple effect's real. And then lastly, I also do think, because he hasn't yet got a solid team where he's really put in the hours, because, by the way, Simple actually shows you, by the way, guys, youngster, listen up, why it isn't about talent, it's about talent and hard work. Because I think what Simple lacks in confidence now is that he knows he hasn't put the hours in. Simple before used to have the most talent, but he also knew he'd outgrinded everyone. He'd played 1 million hours of Face It. He played every tournament. He'd had years and years grinding in the game like Rops did, where they just at that point, you think he's super. I also think if you give him like 6 months to a year, the real Simple confidence will come back. The shit where you do go for every 1v2, you just swag them with it. So obviously it is a really spicy hot take. Thoughts, boy? And he did only win 1 major in CS, so I've also made it a crazy fucking take, haven't I? I'm basically saying he'll hit it, not individually, but he'll hit his career accomplishment peak in CS2 within 2 years. Thoughts?
You kind of cut yourself short a little bit, because you said like you need to give him 6 to 12 months, right? And that leaves just another year to win the major. That's going to be 2 majors, so he needs to win 1 out of 2. Or that, because we are assuming that he won't.
No, I mean, he has 6 to 12 months to get like into the game and get good again. I don't think he's going to win the next major in fucking Austin, but Budapest.
Budapest, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, like, when he's.
All right, I'll tell you what. You're right. I'll give you. Here's the negotiation, kassad. Forget 2 years, not counting the Austin one, because obviously he hasn't properly come back. So from Budapest onwards, he has 3 majors. He's going to win 1 of them.
So Budapest +2. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm also factoring in the idea that I think when he plays enough, he'll then, because he's in the international community, he'll have a lot of choice of where teams to go in, people will build around. So it is a crazy take, I'll give you that, but hit me with it. Hit me, boys.
I feel like Fox Mulder. Like I want to believe, I want to believe, right? The thing is, like, but it's Dana Scully.
Okay.
The thing is, like, right now it's too much competition for one thing, and too much future competition as well. Right now, Simple was the greatest of all time in CSGO because he was simple. He didn't need me, you, Blade, Zeus, anybody. He needed Simple, and he did it by himself. He by grinding, the same way Michael Jordan did it, the same way Kobe Bryant did it, like all these Mike Tyson, all these special human beings. And Simple is a special human being when it comes to CSGO, right? He's going to apply the same trades probably to CS2 if he wants to. You said become active, that means sign a contract, play out proper teams, all the events, try to play the events and stuff like that. Now, even with the best simple there ever was, he barely won that one major, right?
I mean, he did
Yes,
win it
he
without
had
dropping him out, but fair enough.
Yeah, listen. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that I'm not diminishing that. He just won one. That's the thing, right?
Okay,
As
yeah.
the greatest of
Yeah,
all.
true.
Again, he didn't have the best supporting crew. Not the worst, but not the best. He didn't have that 2021 team that
That was a
won
very
that
good
thing.
lineup, yeah.
That was a decent lineup. Before that, only Electronic and a
Yes.
couple of more players. But now, where do you put him to be that major champion in the past, Austin, so Budapest +2? Where do you place him to give him a realistic chance? Not Duncan, I really want this fairy tale to happen, because we all do.
Okay,
It's not just you.
put it
You're
this
just
way,
vocal about
you'll
it.
notice
Where do you put him?
I'm also, I think I was quite explicit about this. I'm also not saying he has to be the number one player. He has to be simple. I just think, put it this way, let's say he became like the sixth best player. I just think his options should be crazy. He should be.
He become the top 20.
He could be in a
Like that.
FaZe roster. He could be in an RV roster. He could even be in a fucking G2 roster he wants probably. Even though they said they didn't want him, but then who gives a fuck what they say,
Yeah.
Team Liquid,
but
who
nobody
knows? Who
trusts him.
knows?
But where do you put him as the top 20? Say he's top 20 player. That's a fair question. Top 20 player, he can do it definitely. Like not top 3, top whatever, but top 20.
Okay.
Which team do you put him as if you are the guy who wants to improve his chances of winning that one of the other 3 majors? Where do you place him to give the best chance?
The problem is this, right? If they can get the rest of the squad together, I do like FaZe because he's got Carrigan, but I also wouldn't hate going back to Na'Vi and having played and having Alexi B. I think that could work too. They've got a nice set of players there. It's still
But
a
that
reach.
would also mean that they need to keep bit plus a little bit more firepower.
Oh, they have to have most of the roster.
And still have to deal with all this competition. Vitalities and all this stuff, right?
Yep.
It's an extremely difficult task. If that happens, that's gonna be a fucking that does it for me. I would be the number one simple fan forever, right? I would just over Nico, but it's very, very. I'm very skeptical.
Thoughts, Mario?
I mean, yeah, I feel like so much of winning a major is just about the team that's around you. But I mean, I'll say this before to just even kick it off. I don't think I'm ever gonna get tired of Thorin's unwavering
support.
Yeah. No, the joke really is like find a woman who loves you, like Thorin loves Simple's Peak or whatever, Yeah, exactly. Like, never ending.
Exactly.
Unimpeachable.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the thing that
like the joke is, I don't believe in Jesus mode, but I do believe in Simple. There's a quote for you right there.
I think the best part about this is that because FaZe didn't win that much with Simple in their first outing, people might actually be underrating him. Like he looked good. He looked pretty darn good.
He had flashes. Certainly.
I'm not gonna say that the final game that they got eliminated on, he didn't make some errors, but I'm also gonna say that the ceiling in some of the rounds where he was able to take over, there's not many operas in the world that could do that stuff. So if he's able to raise the floor, which I assume is going to happen when he has people around him who are more stable, then he can work within that system a bit better. So it's a fun take because I don't think
it's a good take. I like it.
It's an intentionally crazy. You're never
gonna. I feel like the most consistently wrong take that Thorin's had on the show is any prediction regarding Simple on any of the stints that he's had. But
I'll even admit
continues to double and triple down.
It's cause my original Simple takes 10 plus years ago was so fire and all sort of came true the way I couldn't. And part of me feels like do it again. You can do it again. You can hit the lottery again.
I think the biggest reason why both Duncan and myself love Simple so much as a CS player, right, is because he has that little string of fanaticism in himself, right? That got him the best that he proved. You said it at the beginning of your argument. You said that it's hard work. It's not just talent. It's mostly hard work and a little bit of talent.
Kassad, it's one of the reasons why, again, the fanboys will get this wrong. The reason why I'm a massive Ronaldo fan isn't, look, yes, obviously the goal highlight packages. No, it's the fact that I know this. I know he lived and died to be the best, and you can tell he really did get jealous if someone won the Ballon d'Or over him, and he went crazy. That is there's very few players ever be like that, Kassad.
You have to have the specific mindset. We said Cristiano Ronaldo is a good one. We said Kobe Bryant and Michael Jackson. Jordan. The Kobe Bryant thing, it's more recent for the people, I guess, younger people that are watching the show, right? You can see in all these videos the mentality that he has, is completely different than other athletes. That's what Simple is in CS terms. He has different mentality than 99.9 people in CS. He obviously has a lot of talent, but the amount of hours he had in CS:GO and CS, and now I don't know if he's gonna come back, but it's definitely something to cheer for. I would rather cheer for that than for fucking some other teams. I don't want to name them now.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know what I mean, right?